and Ricky Sajek in a come-from-behind victory just moments ago over Bruce Carter. Ricky is 24 from Highland, Indiana, proving once again that bowlers can come in all shapes and all sizes.
Well, Rick is definitely proving that as he comes as thin as they come, but he throws a big bowling ball.
Mike, we saw once again it's so important to forget what the other bowler is doing. There is no defense in bowling, and just go out and throw each ball as if it's your last.
Rick Sajek just seems to have an ability to be able to do that. He puts everything else out of his mind and just concentrates on the individual shot at hand, and it's making him a lot of money this year.
Well, Mr. Sajek will now take on the man in the middle of your screen, Rick Fatone. I had a chance to talk with him earlier today. One day when Rick Fatone writes a book about it all, it may have to be titled Bowling is My Life, or Has Been My Life. Rick, you started at a very young age when your dad owned a bowling alley, and I don't know whether there was any choice for your career eventually.
Well, not really. My dad was a good bowler, and I always went to the bowling tournaments with him, and he's a very good teacher, too. He teaches a lot of people around the Oregon area. And I was just destined, I think, to be a bowler on the Pro Tour.
4 years now on the tour. What has changed most about your approach to the game and your mechanics of throwing the bowling ball?
Well, we're always learning. You learn something new every year. I think just my mental attitude is the main thing. If you can survive the first year or two, then you've got a good chance of going on from there.
Now, you were the alternate, that is the sixth-place finisher in Waukegan just a few weeks ago, and now you're in the TV finals. But it's the first time in the TV finals for you for 16 months. Why the long drought?
Well, I think I pushed myself a little bit harder on the break when I was home with a little exercise program. And I was in a slump a little bit. When I get in a slump, I practice more and I do more things that are positive. And I think through my mental attitude of just keeping positive, everything just kind of went real well as time went on. And I just didn't hang my head. I just looked up and knew I'd get there.
Well, you're bowling well now. What did you do today to get ready for the championship appearance tonight?
I just relaxed today. I got a good night's sleep. I slept in this morning. I just stayed loose and nothing unusual that I didn't do any other day.
So do you feel you're ready?
Yes, I feel I'm very ready.
And that weight training program was such that Rick can now lift Ricky Sajek over his head if he so desires. But that will not be important in this bowling match, as Rick Fatone will start in the left lane, lane 41 of this 50-lane house, the Rose Bowl lanes in Windsor, Ontario, Canada.
Interestingly enough, Rick has the choice of which lane he wants to finish on. As he starts with a strike, he's chosen to finish on the right lane. He gets 4 practice balls coming onto the pair, and he took 3 of the 4 on the right lane. 4-step player. Watch the long push away, high backswing, right here at this point. Good slide, left arm out for balance, good follow through, and an excellent result.
As many bowlers start with their heels actually off the approach, Rick Fatone is way up. Here's Sajek.
Same thing, he left the last ball in the 10th, 3-6-10. Rick is one of those players that in between games takes no practice shots. He's allowed to take them on the other lane, and this time we see him hitting over about board 13 that time. That's why the ball went high. He's got to hit right around board 11, 11 and a half, or he's not going to get it in the 1-3 pocket. Straightens it out at the 3-16. He's in trouble, makes it on the left. Little wry smile there. When things are going right, they're going right.
Indeed. Ricky Sajek, his high game this tournament, only a 260, but he was consistent, and that is the important thing.
Only a 260?
Well, I couldn't bowl a 260, but there were lots of 289s.
Only a 260.
Mark Williams had a 279.
Sajek right back in the groove in the second frame. Ricky getting the ball again well out on the lane, over about the 12th board. Gives it that room and gets a good carry. 10-pin, 6-pin, taking care of that 10.
Back now to Rick Fatone. Beautiful part of our country. He's from Salem, Oregon.
Wants to get out ahead early. And does. 10-pin lead right away. It's important to get out ahead of Ricky Sajek and put some pressure on him. Wiping the oil off the ball. He's using a urethane bowling ball. Trying to pace himself here. Uses the finger grips, as you can see him putting hand in there. kind of breaks his wrist to start with, but it doesn't stay broken in the backswing. At that point, it firms up. Boy, nice shot. That's the way to start. 3 in a row.
Second time these two bowlers have faced each other this week in Windsor. Last time they met, Ricky Sajak defeated Rick Patone by 25 pins.
Somebody named Rick won the match, huh? Sajak again down by 20 pins, needs the strike to stay even. Gives it more room. And it hooked early on him that time and left the 16. He was surprised to see him come up at the line at the end. He thought he hit his target and made a good shot, and the ball hooked, well, the pros say, hooked early on him. We'll see what kind of adjustment he makes on 42 the next time he bowls on it. Again, grabs this plastic ball to make the spare with, cross lane, and makes it easily.
That's 2 straight times now on the right-hand lane that Sajak has been forced to convert a spare. He'll now move back to the left lane where he struck in frame 2.
There you see the difference. Fatone with 30 in the first, double working. Sajak 40 in the second, and only a spare up. 20 pins is the difference. Right back in there.
I thought he slipped a little bit, Mike, just as he was letting the ball go. He looked down at his feet as if the footing was off by just a shade. Watch it. No, maybe not.
The approaches have been on what we call the slippery side this week, shooting 10 pins and things. If you weren't careful, you could slip a little bit.
Sajak will now watch the leader for the moment, Rick Patone, 20-pin lead.
Right there, ooh, and leaves the 5-7. And it seems that when somebody gets ahead of Sajak, something happens to him to give him an opportunity. This ball over about the 12th board here, and watch it deflect as it hits the pins. It just bounced right. Not enough lift, not enough drive.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where does this spare rank in difficulty?
This one ranks about 3 to 1, 2 to 1, maybe 2.5 to 1 in that area. Pro should make it quite frequently, just like that. What you want to do on this is you move 2 boards, 2.5 boards left, use the strike target again, and we see right over that strike target again. And this is a textbook way to make it. He hits that 5-pin right on the right and drills it into the 7, never a doubt. Avoids that open frame, and that psychologically, Alan, is such a lift to you. You know, it's a bad break to get that split, but it can really send that adrenaline pumping up when you convert it.
Patone after the triple, following with a spare, and now in the 5th frame, leading by 18 pins.
There he is, back in the pocket. He's got that left lane wired. Both players hitting lane 41. See that lift and turn? Nice follow through. And watch the 6-pin hit that 10 here. Just knocks it right out of there.
Rick Patone back in the pocket again, up by 18 pins. We'll continue from Windsor, Ontario, Canada in just a moment.
Shotgun Rapids, Idaho. Box 496.
The bowling fans north of the border, this is the only time they get to see the PBA Tour. They are watching the Molson Challenge, and you are watching it on USA Sports. We're at Rose Bowl Lanes in Windsor. I'm Al Troutwig along with Mike Durbin. It is a far cry different from last year's final, Mike, in which we saw a 157-156 victory.
I think we've seen more strikes in 2 games than we saw in 4 that time. So. Sajak, let's see what kind of an adjustment he makes on this right lane now. It's been high 3 times in a row. And that's the perfect adjustment. Boy, that's why this spin is so good. He thought he made a good shot the last time on that lane. It went high. And this time he comes right back in the pocket. Right back over that same target. 11.5 board. Same result, too. He's 8 pins down, can take the lead for the first time in the match with 1 more.
That breaks the hex slightly on that right lane for Sajak.
Now see how he spreads both his index finger and his little finger? I don't know another pro on the tour that does that. There'll probably be some trying it, I'll tell you what. And he missed this lane for the first time in quite a while. Leaves the 2-4-5-7 not an easy spare. There are a multitude of ways that you can miss this one. Lets it go a little wide here, and he tries to steer it up there. Use his skinny little hips to steer it up there. It won't work. At the spare, boy, it just makes it like it was nothing.
We have seen some good spare conversions already tonight. And now back to 28-year-old Rick Vitone, who got off to a good start. I'm sure that helped ease some of the tension a little bit. Started off with 3 strikes, then a spare, then back with a strike in the 5th. This is his opportunity now in the 6th frame.
Stands in front of the 12-foot line to take 4 steps. Up by 12 pins, can increase it to 22. He's in the pocket. Boy, that's it. I'll tell you, Alan, it's really nice to watch. He is throwing the ball better now than he did in practice. He is absolutely throwing the ball better over about the 11th and a half board, 12th board, solid in there. He's throwing it better now than he did in the practice section.
Okay, so here is where we are now. It is a 22-pin lead for the man on top, Rick Vitone, over Ricky Sajek. And once again, Vitone is in the pocket, 2 strikes in a row.
You want to get this one. He's hit this lane now every time in the 1st, 3rd, and 5th. He wants to hit it one more time and really put Sajek under the gun. He can put him down 32 pins with one more. Little stick at the line, through the nose, the 3-6-10, or the 3-6. Knocked the 10 out of there.
He hopped just a little bit.
Just a little anxious, a little rush, and wanted to strike a little too bad. See him stick right there at the line, and the ball goes a little, about a board left to target. No split, though. He avoids the split. Relatively easy spare, the 3-6. I shouldn't say things like that. So it's his normal shot at it. Makes it perfectly.
He covered you. Mike, how much of a difference in distance, one board at the start of a stroke as opposed to what happens when the ball gets to the pins?
You can make a board and a half difference or 2 boards difference at the end. So, you know, you want to get to board 17 at the pocket. I miss a board, I'm going to be on board 19 or right through the nose.
Sajek down by 20 in the 7th.
Light again, leaves the 2-pin and pin rolling around. Sajek's running out of frames. Already in the 7th frame. There's Debbie. She's probably got her own score and keeping score. Either that or she's praying. Makes the 2-pin easily. Ricky's going to have to go some to try and bail this one out. Vitone is in the pockets. Looks good. See the difference there. 21 pins, both working on spares. 3 frames to go. It's getting down to must-strike time for Sajek. Good loft. He's going high, though.
All of a sudden, he's in trouble on the left lane. He struck twice in a row. Then the last time up, he had 6 pins only, converted the spare, and now has 8 down.
Even more telling, though, is he's light, high, now high again. Means that either his delivery is becoming inconsistent or he's just fishing on the lanes, has lost the pocket just a little bit. And in the tail end of a match, you're behind him. That's not a good sign. Vitone with a hammer in his hand. And I don't mean the ball, I mean the opportunity. Sajek with that Donald Duck look on his face there. Gives it room. Light and the weak 10. Just didn't quite knock it out of there. Good shot. Good percentage shot there. It's a professional shot. Keep that ball in the 1-3 pocket. Don't beat yourself. Right over about the 11th, 12th board. Now this ball is going to deflect. And watch this 6-pin just lay in the channel. Not enough finger lift to make that snap out and get out of there. Cross lane at the 10-pin. We saw Bruce Carter miss this, but Rick Vitone doesn't.
And the lead is still 22. A rare collection of bowlers tonight, certainly among the 5 that we'll be watching. There are only 6 PBA titles among them. Usually it's a lot more than that. Ricky Sajek, currently on the short end of a 22-pin margin, has 2. Rick Vitone, watching the pin 60 feet away, has none.
And that first one is the toughest one to get. All important 9th frame. Uh-oh. Goes high, leaves the 6-10. Suddenly he's not making the shots he was earlier. He's talking to himself. Again, he avoids the split, but now the lead is down to 20 pins and the count is even, both at 3. Rick Sajek right now is potential 223 if he would strike out. Rick Fatone needs to make the spare to continue at a 223 pace. And he has the spare. Nice conversion. The pressure is on Sajak. He's got to do something to put the pressure on Fatone. He needs at least a double to make Fatone mark in the 10th frame.
That was Vatone's third straight spare. Sajak has the identical collection. Spares in 6, 7, and 8. Now he's bowling in the 9th.
Right. Gets the light hit. So good in the clutch. Gives this ball a little more room. Sliding, just biting up. Watch the head pin go to the wall, barely hit the 2, and get all the 4, 5, 7 also. He could have had the half on that.
So what's the situation?
The situation is 20 pins difference. Sajak can cut it to 10 with a double. This is a must strike. Has to have this one. Try again. Breaks it down, leaves the 6-10, but it's going to be too little too late. Fatone can open in the 10th frame and still win. He has to stay behind the foul line, keep it on the lane, but he has the match well in hand. Sajak makes this, and he didn't. That's it.
Disaster. Strikes Ricky Sajak, 191. He'll be a loser and get $5,500 for finishing in 4th position. Bruce Carter, finishing in 5th, will get $4,500. And Rick Fatone has guaranteed himself at least $7,000.
He bowled a very nice game, very professional game. Had most of the shots in the 1-3 pocket. So far he's had 8 out of 10. He's only missed twice.
First time under the TV lights in 16 months.
I saw him bowl in Portland on television there, and he came out and looked like a seasoned veteran. Like it didn't bother him at all. He doesn't appear to be very uptight or nervous today. Right back in there. The winner is going to be in the 230s again. Some good scores. Now they're going to need him to beat Pete Weber. Weber has been hot. And he's confident. There's the first solid 10 we've seen.
It matters not. Rick Fatone, 232. Ricky Sajak, 191. And so Fatone will now move into the next match where he'll take on Pete Weber, who celebrates his 22nd birthday today. Weber winning just a few weeks ago in Austin, Texas. Another hot bowler. Who will move into the championship match against Bob Chamberlain? That will be determined in just a moment. Fatone versus Weber as the Molson Bowling Challenge continues on USA Sports in a moment. Top 5 bowlers here, of course, but these are the ones who just missed, 6th through 24.
And finishing in 6th place was Big Steve Cook. 7th place went to Bill Spigner, breaking a slump. Philip Rigener finished 8th. Our Denver Open champion John Gant finished 9th. Mats Carlson, probably the best foreign player, finished 10th, and he'll be acting as alternate today as everyone else has already taken off for home. The Baltimore Open champion Dale Eagle finished 11th. Walter Ray Williams, our horseshoe pitching champ, finished 12th. Bobby Knippel was 13th. Bob Learn Jr. 14th. Jim Miller, bowling well every week, 15th. Last week's champion George Pappas 16th. Tommy Kress was 17th. Guppy Troop finished 18th. Our Waukegan Open champion Mark Williams, statistician, finished 19th. Bobby Jacks 20th. David Ozio from Texas finished 21st. Joe Hutchinson 22nd. Greg Nesbitt in the finals, I think for the first time, finished 23rd. And Norm Duke had to come in the last round and wound up 24th.
Well, if you wanted to hear bowlers talk international finance, this was the place to be this week. The ever-fluctuating exchange rate between Canada and the United States comes into play. When you look at $18,000 for first place, you're really only talking about $14,000 American. $9,500 for second, $7,000 third, $5,500 for fourth, and fifth place, $4,500.
And our leaders round by round. Bruce Carter led the initial 2 rounds. Mats Carlson was the leader after the 3rd round. Bruce Carter came back after 4. Bob Chamberlain, however, came up for rounds 5 and, more importantly, round 6. He's the leader today.
Last week in Mike's second-to-last bowling tip of the series on USA, he touched on a very important factor, the release of the bowling ball. It's so complicated and so important that it deserves another look. Here is Mike Durbin's bowling tip.
Last week we looked at the hand release and some principles that make up for a good hand release. Namely, we said that the thumb had to come out of the ball first. At the point of release, you had to have proper timing, proper body position, and proper ball fit. This week we're going to deal with the hand release again and some more principles that I didn't have time to go into last week. The first thing I want to talk about is as I'm setting myself up and I'm ready to look at my target and I'm going to put my hand in the ball, I recommend, and most pros do, that you put your fingers into the ball first and then your thumb. The reason for this is that the exact opposite should happen at the point of release. The thumb will come out of the ball first and then the fingers. However, this is not a dogmatic rule because some pros make it work the exact opposite way. The late Billy Waylew used to put his thumb in the ball first and then his fingers, and Joe Hutchinson does that today, but I recommend that you put your fingers in the ball first. Next, after I get my hand in the ball, and I'm getting set up here, what so many amateurs and good bowlers want to do here is they tighten up that arm and you almost see their jaw set and they squeeze that ball in an effort that they think this is going to help them get something on the ball when they let it go. And the exact opposite is true. What I want to do at this point is put my hand in the ball here. I want to relax it. I want that hand to be loose in the ball, and if you feel that if your hand is loose in the ball you might lose it or drop it, then that ball doesn't fit you and you should get a proper fit. But I should relax at this point. I want to try and relax the muscles in my forearm, in my shoulder, and let my left hand carry most of the weight at this point and let gravity pull the ball down rather than using muscle to do it. Now the third thing I want to talk about is as I get to my next to last step on my approach, what so many people want to do, myself included, is as that backswing's coming up here now, we kind of want to reach for an extra 10 yards like you do in golf, and the swing goes up a little bit more. I do this because I'm trying to get some more lift on that bowling ball. And what happens is my timing gets late and I have trouble getting a clean release. So the idea to keep in mind is at this point, when I get to the peak of my backswing, is I want to leave the ball and leave the swing alone and let gravity pull that ball and that arm right on down. Gravity will do it because I'm not strong enough and you're not strong enough to hold that ball up there for a very long period of time. Now, as I'm coming into my slide and the ball's coming through, we're reaching the moment of truth in bowling, and that is the hand release. I can do everything right up to this point, and if I mess up my hand release, the shot is not going to be good. Now, the type of hand release I recommend is where my fingers are right here at 6 o'clock, and as I'm letting go of the ball, I try and stay at 6 o'clock as long as possible and turn a quarter turn up to 3 o'clock at this point and lift the bowling ball. Now, I realize that there are a lot of different variations of this, and a lot of bowlers have different types of hand releases and make them work. This is what I recommend, the 6 to 3. But if you keep this principle in mind, I think it'll help you no matter what type of hand release you have. And that is a tip that I learned many, many years ago, that as I'm letting go of the ball, I want to let it go with my thumb, but not my fingers. I keep the fingers firm and make the ball open up my fingers as the ball goes out on the lane. This gives me lift, or in the common vernacular, I put stuff on the ball. What it actually is revolutions in RPMs on the ball that make it alive when it hits the 1-3 pocket, and if it's alive there, the pins fly and my scores go up. Remember this, the Bible says that love covers a multitude of sins, and a good hand release covers a multitude of mistakes in the approach. We'll see you again next week.
Boy, Mike, those bowling tips really draw a large crowd, don't they? Here's the top 10 money winners so far on the PBA Tour. Mark Roth leads the way in only 19 tournaments. That's the fewest of the top 10. The rest is a who's who. Tonight we're seeing the number 6 bowler, Ricky Sajek, in our finals, and of course Mike Durbin is in 5th spot.
And our top 10 averages are led by Marshall Holman with Roth in 2nd. Weber is on the show tonight 3rd. Hanley 4th. Berardi 5th. Sliker, Sajek, Brian Voss, Gary Skidmore, and yours truly holding up the top 10.
Important people behind the scenes. Bowling's got them. Every sport has them. As a matter of fact, they're everywhere we look. Here's a chat with Larry Lichtenstein. If you are a bowler on the PBA Tour, it is very important that you know this man. This is Larry Lichtenstein. Larry, I've been following you and watching you work for a long time now, and I'm not still quite sure what it is that you do. Sum it up for me.
Well, Alan, I'm in charge of all player services for the Professional Bowlers Association. That includes hauling all the equipment to each city, setting it up, maintaining it. I run a big 18-wheeler. We have a new supply of bowling balls out there. We get roughly 100 to 200 players a week coming out there ordering new equipment. I haul their equipment. Some players have 15, 20 bowling balls, golf clubs, suitcases, bowling shirts, Harry Golden's equipment, computers, scoreboards, banners, sometimes TV equipment, literally everything that it takes to make the tour run.
So if you get a flat tire, everyone sweats just a little bit. Now, I've come in contact with a lot of athletes. Hockey sticks, skates, baseball bats. Those are the tools. When things are going well, they're happy. When things aren't going well, they're not happy. How do you put up with that battle of egos and the strange psyches that all these bowlers have?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I was once a player, and I know what happens out there. And we have a very scientific game today with all the different surfaces that we're bowling on. So I watch a lot, and I study them in the morning when they come out at 9 o'clock. I'm usually out there watching them, and I watch as the day goes on, see how the lanes change. I try to advise them, tell them whether to use plastic or urethane or a hard ball or a softball or change a grip. And I'm constantly watching them, and they have faith in me, and it's a good rapport.
Now, you mentioned plastic and urethane, and that sums up the technology that's changing not only in bowling but in all sports. How do you keep up with the things that are going on, and how do you convince the bowlers that some of these new materials and some of these new ideas are things that they should use?
Well, I'm very lucky. They're my teachers. I have a chance to watch the best in the world. I can react to their reaction. In other words, I could take a fellow like Pappas or Mark Williams or some of the players we've had on this summer. I can watch them, learn from them, and then give that knowledge to another person.
Now, your company is called PBSC. Is there anything the public would want to use from your company, or is it strictly for the pros?
It's strictly for the pros. I'm flattered when someone from the public asks me to drill a ball and whatnot, but I'm not allowed to serve the public. I'm here strictly for the professional bowlers.
Larry, you do a great job. Thanks for stopping with us.
Thank you, Al. It's been a pleasure.
We're in Canada. Of course, that means customs. Larry once got stopped for 13 hours as customs agents checked out every single bowling ball. Next week, the PBA Seniors Classic, where Dick Weber is the defending champion. We'll be back to continue with the Molson Challenge on USA in just a moment.
The worst stock market crash in history rocked the nation yesterday as stock prices collapsed.
On October 24th, 1929,
They've got to bowl against each other. You're looking at Pete Weber, his birthday today. He's 22. Pete is from St. Louis, Missouri. And Rick Bertone, who just won moments ago over Ricky Sajek, is 28 years old, and he is from Salem, Oregon. Their challenge, no different from the other bowlers here tonight. Lanes 41 and 42. The TV pair here at the Rose Bowl lanes. The pins, each of them weighing 3 pounds, 7 ounces, and they must knock them all down with a ball that weighs about 16 ounces. Now, next week, the PBA Seniors Championship will be on USA. I won't be there. I'll be covering the U.S. Open Tennis Tournament on USA. We've got 8 nights of that. Eddie Doucette will be back with you here. I just wanted to take a moment to thank so many of the people who have made the PBA Tour one of the most enjoyable things I've done on USA over the past 3 years. The PR Director, Bud Fisher, our TV Coordinator, Chuck Pisano, Phil Ferguson, the broadcasting coordinator, Johnny Campo, the PR director, Mark Williams, and Frank Ellenberg, 2 of the crazy bowlers who help us out so often throughout the tour. A little bit of a focus is necessary on that PBA Seniors Championship on Dick Weber. He is the defending champion. And we highlight Dick Weber tonight because his son is bowling in front of the crowd here at Rose Bowl Lanes. Interestingly enough, Pete Weber is wearing the latest sportswear line of his dad, Dick Weber. I had a chance to talk earlier today with Pete. Mentally, bowlers certainly take a beating, but their hands do too, and that is why Pete Weber uses this special cut batting glove to help protect his fingers. Now, Pete, explain to me a little bit why you use this.
Well, I was having a problem slicing and cutting my fingers up on the creases and on the sides of them, and a friend of mine told me that he wore them, so I tried them, and I don't have problems with my fingers slicing or cutting anymore, and I stick with them because I like the way they feel, and it helps me get out of the ball a little cleaner.
Well, you looked great last night. You saved the best for last, I think, here in Windsor. You finished with a flurry.
Yeah, I had 289 the last game. I got a couple good breaks in there. I had 2 Brooklyns and a trip 2. But I was confident going into the pair because I had shot 230 on it before, so I was just real confident when I got to that pair for the position round.
Now, last night in match play, your last game was against Ricky Sajek, and you had a lot of verbal and slapping fives contact with him. Is that the kind of rapport that you have with most of the bowlers?
Well, not really. Just me and Rick, we've known each other for a while, and we don't get, upset or anything. We just try and bowl good. And we could, by giving 5, that just means a nice shot and keep it up.
Now, you have a birthday today, 22 years old. You've already been on the tour a number of years. What have you gotten for your birthday?
Well, I recently, before I come to Canada, I recently got a VCR video recorder so I could watch myself on the TV at home when I get there. And that's it for right now. I haven't been home to see my family yet, so I don't know what they got in store for me back home.
You're bowling with a tremendous amount of confidence. You can see that you're having a good time out there. You watched some pins fall last night that even in your own words may not have fallen at other times.
True, but I've been bowling good all year, and my mental attitude towards the game is 100% more positive than it was before, and I just feel good when I go into a bowling alley to bowl.
And if Dick Weber is watching in St. Louis, getting ready for the Seniors Championship, I hope he has purchased that birthday present because Pete is waiting for it. Here's Rick Fatone to start things off. Remember, the winner goes to the championship match, and there's an $18,000 check waiting for the champion. Fatone finished with a flurry. Let's see how he starts. Left lane.
Inside again. Gets that light hit. 4-5-7 going out of there. These pins kind of fell funny here. Ball comes in light. Head pin goes to the wall. The 4-5-7 were definitely there, and it kind of like suspended animation fell late. Pete Weber with that big hook and high backswing playing outside. Starts the way he should.
Interesting that Pete's average this week, a 209.8, which is almost 2 pins less than his 84 average.
5-step. Watch the high backswing here. The long slide. Boy, that backswing's way up there over his head. Tremendous lift and turn at the bottom of that swing. And a great big hook at the back end of the alley. Trying for the early lead in a double.
Looking for PBA title number 4.
And I left several of those this week called the Greek Church. The 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. Just a little left of his target here. He knows if he gives it more room, it won't make it. And it's 5.
Pete's a quick bowler. He goes right for it.
And 8 out.
Where did that nickname Greek Church come from, Mike?
It came from the pins reminding you of the spires on the church. See?
Very simple, as bowling is. Take the ball and knock the pins down. Here's Rick Fatone striking the first, second frame.
Again, between games, our statistician Mark Williams and I were talking, and we said that it looked like the inside shot was getting the better ball reaction, and we thought the favorite in this match would be Fatone, as he doesn't knock over the 7-pin, simply because we thought Weber was going to play outside, and it didn't look like the ball is reacting as well outside as it is in.
Not only is Rick going for his first title, but whenever bowlers capture that first championship, they are exempt from the rabbit squads for a year. That means they don't have to qualify, and that takes a tremendous load off their minds.
And Mark Williams is sitting over here to our right going, yes, 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 right. At the 7-pin. Has it?
But quickly, after 2 frames, it is a 14-pin lead for Rick Fatone because Pete Weber left the second frame wide open.
Rick Fatone using a urethane bowling ball and Pete Weber using a plastic bowling ball. Weber throwing the greater hook. High, bad shot. Brooklyn leaves the 5-pin. That ball hung on his thumb and just turned it early. Now it's not a good clean release, as we were talking about.
This is one that could have been a lot worse.
Turned this ball early. See it hanging it there, and it's just left of target immediately. And fortunate to get 9 out of it. He can practice a little bit on the 5-pin here. Practice for the pocket. Try and get his stroke back. Settle himself down here. Ooh.
Rick's eyes light up as he walks away from that one. Those are giggles of relief, believe me.
And everybody, he comes back and says, never a doubt. Pete Weber. Throwing that great big hook. Coming in light, and the 10-pin goes. Didn't have a chance. I tell you, that one was going to go one way or the other. The 6-pin leaned on it, but we had a messenger pin. See, go over about the 2nd arrow and out to about the 4th board. It's going to come in light. The head pin goes to the wall. The 6 hits it. The head pin was coming back to get it if the 6 missed it.
So Pete has now earned himself back into the match, only trailing by 13 pins now.
And can cut it to 3 if he can double. Gives this one more room, and it looks good. Nice shot. Great execution right there. Over about the 2nd arrow again, out to about the 5th board. Pow.
And Rick Batone, right lane, up by 3. 2 spares in a row. He'll want to break that string.
Light. Wall shot 7. Just didn't get the head pin to hit the 7 pin. Got the 4-5 out of there. Just a little weak.
Seven years with the PBA, 3-year stint in the mid-70s, and now recently on the tour, his 4th year.
Hold on, ball. Almost too much. But he's cruising along with spares, and he's got a Barracuda on his tail here. 2-pin lead. Batone has it. 5th frame action.
There's a disconsolate-looking Barracuda sitting back there, and Pete Weber.
I'll tell you what, he's ready. He knows he can win. He believes he can win, and he expects to win. And when you got that kind of attitude going for you. Gives us some more room, and gets that 7 pin out of there this time. Keeps himself in the match.
This is an important shot for Rick Batone.
Needs to get something going. The ball's just a little light in the pocket. Just barely hits the 5. And the 4 hit the 7 to knock it over.
And so Rick Batone cancels out that string of 3 straight spares with a strike in the 5th. And his lead is now 2 pins over Pete Weber. Pete's last game, bowled here at Rose Bowl Lanes, was last night. It was a 289. Today is different. We'll be back as the Molson Bowling Challenge continues. Here in Windsor, Ontario. Pete, in 1980, set a record along with Tom Baker, a record that will never be broken. It was in Denver, and it was in match play, and if you can believe it, they both rolled a 300 in the same game. And as a result of that, is it a record that can be tied but never broken. That is Dee Dee, Pete's wife. They have one daughter, Nicole.
And we remember seeing Nicole's reaction to her daddy winning in Austin when she ran out there and tackled him at the leg, and everybody was very excited.
Now, we've told you Pete's only 22, but he was the Rookie of the Year in 1980. He's already in his 5th year on the tour.
Amazing, isn't it?
Down by 2 pins in the frip.
Trying to take the lead. Gives us some more room, and it comes roaring back. Oh, that tremendous finger lift that he has.
Good streak bowler.
Just a good bowler right now. He's just really gaining his own. You know, gets this one out to about the 4th or even 3rd board, comes roaring back.
Well, now we'll get a chance to see in just a moment how Rick Batone handles the pressure squeeze, because Pete Weber's on a roll now. He's working on a triple. That weird glove configuration on his middle 2 fingers. Weber in the 6th, up by 8.
Gives this one more room, and he's light. Wow. Leaves the 1, 2, 8, 10, the washout. And I was just talking to Mark Williams. We thought that that left lane might give him a little trouble and maybe leave the 2, 8, 10, but he's got the 1, 2, 8, 10. This is makeable. Just increased the speed that time and kind of came up at the line. Switches balls to one that's going to go straighter. Wants to hit the head pin on the left, and he's in trouble. Doesn't convert it, and gives the lead back to Batone while he's sitting on the bench.
What could be a disastrous open 6th frame for Pete Weber, his 2nd of the match. And now Batone has the lead again, as Mike said. And he'll be bowling in the 6th. 3-rack for Batone on the right.
His counts have been bad. 5 and 3 out, or 8 out, and then 6 and then 9 out. And already Pete Weber's lost 10 pins in count as Rick Fatone is asking for another re-rack. In fact, it's on second ball. It never did give him the rack. It gets demoralizing to a bowler when that count goes down and you lose 10 pins in count within 5 or 6 frames. And it just has a bad psychological effect on you. Fatone up by 8. Wants to jump on that mistake by his opponent. Big ball in this match. He's light and almost got the bucket out of there, but leaves only the 5-pin. Couldn't take advantage of the situation. Well, he really could have put the squeeze on Weber there and keeps Weber in the match by not striking. Had the 5-pin back in the 4th frame and barely made it. Or actually, I guess it was the 3rd frame. Makes it easily. Keeps his 8-pin lead going to the 7th frame. There we see the difference. Pete Weber, 110 in the 6th on a split. Fatone with 98 in the 5th with a spare up in the 6th. The difference, 8 pins. Rick trying to get something going. And the wall shot 7 again. That's the second one this game. Just a little weak, just a little light.
Now in the 7th frame, Rick Fatone only has 2 strikes.
But he's ahead by 7 pins. That's the important thing.
Absolutely.
He's made this spare twice this game. Needs to make it one more time. And does. But Pete Weber can regain the lead if he can get a couple strikes here.
Well, now let's see how Pete Weber rebounds from an open frame. Last time, after leaving the open second, he rebounded with a triple.
Weber's yet to get a spare in this game. His heels hanging over the back edge. Well, he's got 42. I don't know why he picked to finish on the left lane. He's just not missing the right lane at all.
Wife Dee Dee doesn't look very happy. She looks very concerned, and well, she might be. It is still a 7-pin deficit for Weber.
Can take the lead, though, with a strike here. If he gets that ball anywhere near the 1-3, he has such a devastating lift and roll on that ball that it just strikes so many times when he gets in the 1-3. Right there, there it is. Takes the lead by 3 pins. Not much of a reaction from his wife. She knows it's still early yet.
Let's check the reaction of the husband.
Yeah, well, he knows it's there. He's into this match.
Yes.
He watched his daddy do that years ago, see. Fatone down by 3 in the 8th frames. Got to get something going here. Has to. Light again. And just gets the 10-pin out of there. Allen right now. Rick right over about the 12th board. Watch the 6-pin, second from the right. Will barely get to 10. Just over. Right now in the 9th frame here. This is the biggest shot of the week and maybe of Rick Fatone's young career. He's down by 3. He's got to double to take the lead and set himself up for a possible big finish in the 10th.
Pete Weber finally looks up to see what Rick Fatone does.
And the 8-10. He just didn't get his thumb out of the ball clean. The ball didn't finish, and he leaves the 8-10, and he's going to be wide open unless he can pull off a miracle shot here. He barely got the 5 out on this. The ball just never bit the lane. Watch the ball deflect as it hits the pocket.
This match tearing the emotions of the watchers one way and then the next. And now the best that Pete Weber could have possibly hoped for. An open 9th frame from Rick Fatone. And now Weber can pounce all over it. Fatone not liking it, checking the scoreboard. I can tell you that Weber all of a sudden leads by 15.
Definitely in the driver's seat. Hasn't missed this right lane yet. And still hasn't. See, that's that killer instinct, boy, when you get your opponent down that you can step on him. Baton had the opportunity a couple of times in this match and was unable to do it. Weber gets the opportunity, and bingo. Up 25 pins.
And Pete wants a re-rack now on the left lane. Just moments ago, it was Baton who wanted it on the right.
And our statistician, Mark Williams, says that if he gets 9 pins on the first ball, that makes him an automatic winner.
Didi there chatting with one of the representatives of Molson.
This has been his tough lane. And he finally leaves a 10 pin, but that's enough. He's going to be a winner. And he knows it. He knows it.
This can be a strange game. At the deepest depths of depression moments ago, Pete Weber, after leaving the 6th open for his 2nd in the match, and now all of a sudden a winner.
Makes a 10 pin for his first spare of the match. A strike will finish with 209. The best that Baton can get is 195. 8-10, just such a big shot. He had to have a strike there, and to get an open was, you know, a spare would have kept him alive. Weber finishing with 7 strikes for 209. That's the hard way to do it, as they say. Baton finishing it out. Now they fall. When you're loose and relaxed, it's so much easier than when that pressure's there. I know the feeling.
Can't tell whether Pete's won or lost, but he is a winner. And he'll be bowling for the championship on his birthday. That's 2 in a row for Rick. Where were those strikes when he needed them?
You see how much that he was potential 227 if he struck all the way out. He leaves the 8-10, and he's going to wind up with 195. That 8-10 cost him 32 pins.
Down they go. Triple in the 10th, 195. A 14-pin victory for Pete Weber. And I know that they'll be watching in Salem, Oregon, watching Rick Baton in his first championship round appearance in 16 months. He will not get his first PBA title tonight, but things are looking good for the 28-year-old from Oregon. Pete Weber, Bob Chamberlain, $18,000 on the line in Windsor, Ontario, and we'll continue our north of the border coverage of the Molson Challenge.
After 2 hours in traffic, the Caseys will stop for lunch.
And here they are. Right now, Bob Chamberlain, who was with us last week in Buffalo in the TV finals, and Pete Weber, who won just a few weeks ago in Austin, Texas. That was Pete's 3rd PBA title. And now one of them will have another title in the Molson Challenge, which continues in Windsor, Ontario. I'm Al Trautwig, along with Mike Durbin. Bob Chamberlain with 1 PBA title, Pete Weber with 3. Pete has accomplished a lot, and he has certainly been through a lot for a 22-year-old. And with him through it all is his wife, Didi, and Pete gives her a lot of credit for supporting him through his alcohol rehabilitation earlier this year. It's gotten a lot of recognition, but no more recognition really than Pete's accomplishments out on the lanes, where he is one of the consistent, exciting, fun bowlers to watch.
He certainly is with that ball. He just makes for excitement just watching that ball go down the lane with its revving up action and its tremendous hooking. We're going to see a great match here. Somebody's going to win their 2nd title of the year here, one of these 2 players. And I don't know which one has the advantage coming on. I guess Pete Weber would have the advantage coming on, seeing he's already got a game underneath his belt and knows the lane somewhat. But Chamberlain is tough. He's going to be hard to beat.
He's going to be hard to beat also because of the crowd. You see, we're just across the Detroit River from Motown, and Bob Chamberlain has brought a lot of supporters from Pontiac, Michigan, where he has called his home for a number of years. We talked with Bob Chamberlain earlier today. Bob Chamberlain will bowl 1 game only tonight in Windsor, Ontario, and that would be for the championship here in the Molson Challenge. Bob, last week we had you on again in Buffalo. You bowled from the 4th position. You ran into a hot George Pappas. Everybody did, as you just told me a moment ago. Here, though, the conditions seem to be a little bit erratic. I don't know if we're going to see a hot bowler like George was last week.
Oh, I don't know if we're going to either, but I don't know if the scores or the conditions were erratic. I thought they were pretty conducive for myself, but some of the bowlers struggled going from one end to the other, and I thought they were pretty good for me going all the way across the house.
Now, you had a pretty cushy lead down the stretch. You didn't have to really worry. You could work on your game a little bit. Did you do anything different in the last few games when you knew you had a big lead?
No, I didn't change anything at all. I was trying to still throw the ball the same way so that I could stay in a rhythm and maybe not pick anything up as a bad habit or anything for today.
Now, the tour is winding down, and I know I've spoken to some bowlers. Their attitudes seem to be changing a little bit. They're getting tired. They're not bowling with the same intensity. And, of course, early in the week when the crowds are sparse, there's no cheering. You're out there all alone, and when you have a bad toss or anything like that, it's just you. Now, all of a sudden, the crowds are out. Tell me a little bit about the differences of the early days and tonight.
Well, in this place here, it was a little bit different. Even when the crowds were a little bit smaller earlier, being from around here, I had the crowd behind me just about every shot I made, so there didn't really seem to be too much different, except for last night. There was a lot more people here, and it didn't matter what I did. I had everybody behind me, and it was really a nice feeling.
You're probably one of the bowlers that wish the tour would continue just a few weeks.
Well, the way I've been the last couple of weeks and as hot as hand as I've had, yeah, I'd like to see it go a little bit farther.
And what are you going to do in the 7 weeks between this and the time the fall tour starts to keep that rhythm going?
Well, I'm going to just take the next couple of days off and not do anything at all, but after that I'll be working on my game, and we have some regionals around the area, and so I'm going to bowl them. And I got just a few more things to do, and as far as work around the pro shop, and other than that, not too much at all.
What's the one key word for you in the championship match?
Just stay loose and try to do the best I can, so.
We've mentioned already tonight the rehabilitation of Pete Weber. Well, guess what? Bob Chamberlain also rehabilitated from alcoholism. And this is actually quite then a very interesting match here in Windsor. Pete Weber and Bob Chamberlain. Weber facing the king of bowlers in Detroit. And you'll be hearing those cheers for Bob Chamberlain in just a moment. Here's the grip of Weber. Frame 1 championship match.
With that glove-like thing on his middle 2 fingers. Whoa! That ball be enough to intimidate a lot of bowlers, I'll tell you what. Bob Chamberlain seems to have had a good shot in practice. Pete Weber sending it out to about the 4th, 5th board. All 10 pins in the pitch. You can't do it any better than that. Chamberlain way back to the end of the approach.
First year on the tour. What an average this week, 215.1.
And right away, just turned the ball early, 4, 6, 7 to start the match. That was just a little apprehensiveness, nerves. 5 steps, pushes it out in right good time, bends over a little bit at this point. Good long slide, comes up, and just kind of steered that one to the nose. Throw more speed, hope it'll bounce around. Doesn't happen. Open right away.
And that's the strategy here, Mike. He didn't go for it at all. He wants to get the count, right?
Well, he threw as hard as, he's not a hard thrower like a Mark Roth or something like that, so he threw as hard as he could throw at it, but that's all you can do. The 4-6, I've been bowling over 30 years and made it once. See that wrist contraption on him is called a scorpion. Helps keep the wrist firm. Bob can't let him get too far ahead. He's got to get something going here. There he is. Pick the finish on lane 41. That's maybe why. Good loft. Just a better executed shot right here. And the result, again, haven't been many taps today. When people got the ball to the 1-3 pocket, they've been striking. Weber, who's just hit, he's hit this right lane every shot. He hasn't missed it yet. See that glove hanging open there on those middle 2 fingers. Trying for increase his lead. He's there. Gets that 10 pin out. Up 21 pins already. You know, Alan, the tournament leader has not won since Tucson in the spring tour. And even counting the doubles tournament, they've only won 6 times all year. So the tournament leader hasn't had too good a track record already.
So often considered an envious position to bowl just that one game. A lot of bowlers feel getting one under their belts and getting a little momentum going is the key.
There he is.
Weber's hot. Starts off with a triple, and Chamberlain right away knows he's in for a match.
Well, he does. Chamberlain is already, as Weber just revs this up over about the second arrow. It doesn't go out nearly as far this time, but winds up in the pocket nevertheless. Chamberlain is in almost a must-strike situation. We're only in the 3rd frame. the way Weber's going, he's got to strike now to put some pressure on you.
Bob Chamberlain has never been in the position of bowling from the top spot before.
He's light, comes in solid, nice reaction. That cuts it back to a 21-pin deficit.
He's got to get started and chipping it away.
Right now, Chamberlain's just made one errant shot, that in the first frame. Weber 30 with 3 working, Chamberlain 9 with a double working, the difference 21 pins. Can cut it to 11 if he can get one more. Again, it's almost a must-strike situation, Alan. He's just got to put some pressure on Weber. Pretty deliberate player. Oh, boy. I'll tell you, he bowled all those years for action. He bowled on the Stroh Spear team. He knows how to do it when he has to. Nice shot there. Great reaction. Right over the second arrow. Very straight. The straightest of the players today. That's a great result there.
Bob Chamberlain is back. Down by only 11. Stringing 3 strikes together, which is exactly the way Pete Weber started this championship match. Now in the 4th. He's there again. Weber's got 4th straight.
I'll tell you what, the way Weber is going, there is a possibility of a 300. I mean, it's only the 4th frame, but this kid is throwing strikes right over the second arrow. This time only out to about the 6th board. They're all winding up in the 1-3 pocket.
Methinks the kiss of death has been planted.
Pete trying for one more. He's up by 21.
Well, Mike, you did it again.
Have that magic, don't I? Leaves the 2-5. Switches balls here using this blue ball that goes much straighter to shoot at the 2-5. And chops it. Puts Chamberlain right back in the match. Weber, who's only had 1 spare in a game and a half, has to hit both pins with the ball, cross lane at it. Didn't shoot it from the left and chopped it clean as a whistle.
Well, Pete Weber won the last game with 2 open frames. He'll have to win this one with at least 1 open frame. His lead has been chipped away to 7 pins. The championship match of the Molson Challenge will continue on USA in a moment. Something very strange happened at Rose Bowl Lane, just across the river from Detroit, Michigan. It is the championship match, Pete Weber against Bob Chamberlain. Chamberlain much older, but not as experienced on the tour at 35 years of age and in his first year. Pete Weber only 22 today, an opening in the 5th frame after stringing 4 straight strikes. We're looking at Patty Chamberlain, Bob's wife, and they have 2 children together. So it is Patty Chamberlain and Dee Dee Weber watching from the sidelines. And now Bob Chamberlain back up. Let's see if he can jump all over that open frame.
Well, Chamberlain's the type that can do it. He's got that grit inside. Reminds me some of Roy Buckley. Buckley was that true grit bowler, and Chamberlain is that cut out of the same piece of cloth. Notice how he doesn't look up to his target until the last minute there. Looks down again now, picks it up to take the lead. Tie again, couldn't do it. Leaves the 3-6. Weber maintains a 9-pin lead.
Mike, I should point out again that your record of prognostication is just horrible. Weber threw 4 strikes, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't listen, and Mike predicted a potential 300 game, and immediately Weber opened in the 5th.
Well, I really don't think that I had anything to do with it. It was a potential. Cross lane to make the 3-6, and does. Difference 9 pins. In any case, we have a nice, tight, close, exciting final match here. Chamberlain using a urethane bowling ball. has yet to miss this left-hand lane. See him burying those fingers and thumb in there. Holds the ball down low. Much like Harry Smith used to do it. Shakes it up and down several times. Smitty used to do that. Back in the 1-3. And you see the competitive juices of Bob Chamberlain. Very square to the line. Good delivery here. Perfectly executed strike. Chamberlain smacks his hands at the end of that. Weber, again, has not missed the right lane. And he's going to get the finish on it.
Pete has come back from open frames in strong fashion all night and does it again.
No trouble in lane 42. Up by 9 pins. Working on a strike. There we see the difference. 107 to 116. 4 frames to go. 9 pins the difference. Weber hasn't. Can increase it to 19. Tie. Brooklyn. And gets the break. It was all right. I saw the look on Chamberlain's face. And I tell you what, sometimes you're better off not looking. In a one-game match like this, as your opponent gets a lucky break like this, not only to go Brooklyn, but you got a delayed strike. Sometimes you're just better off not looking and not knowing what kind of a strike he got, because sometimes it can affect you mentally. We'll see how Chamberlain responds to that lucky break that Weber got in the 7th frame. He's got to have this one to keep himself in the match.
Chamberlain, a gum chewer as he bowls. Won't see that very often.
Gave it a lot of room. And gets that 10-pin out of there. Nice shot.
That gave it almost 3 lanes of body England. Here's what I mean.
He definitely, when you see a bowler moving to his right like this, you know the ball's probably going to be light. And he kicks that right leg up and says, get that 10-pin out of there. He kicked it over.
See all his supporters in the background from Pontiac, Michigan.
He's in the position now that he was in the 5th frame. Strike can take the lead. Down by 9 pins. He can take it by 1 pin. He has not missed this lane yet. Working on that gun.
He looks like he's there.
No. Oh boy. Came up at the line. He turned the ball early. He's hit the nose twice and gotten 2 splits. Well, actually, he's hit it 3 times and got splits twice. And he has to make this a 6, 7, 10. He goes over and looks at the score sheet. He's adding up the score, and he's going to figure it out like I have, that he has to go for it. Even if he makes it, he's going to be behind by 12 pins.
Pete not looking, but he looks now.
He's giving it a shot, and he went full out. Went in the channel, bounced out. That doesn't count. He loses count, and Pete Weber's definitely in the driver's seat. That just about does it.
Chamberlain tosses the towel down in disgust.
The best Chamberlain can get now is 218 if he strikes out. Pete Weber is going at a 226 pace right now. If he spares strikes out, he would have to open and Chamberlain strike out. He hasn't missed this right lane yet. Weber is in great shape. And boy, he's got that killer instinct he learned from his father.
And Didi comes to life. He senses it.
He's going to have his 2nd win within 5 weeks. His 4th win overall. And Pete Weber is just on top of the world right now. Has a great shot at $100,000 this year the way he's bowling. 9th frame. Up 38 pins. Now it's 48.
All right, Weber. Look at the way he has rebounded from the open 5th frame with 4 more straight strikes.
And as you say, as we see this vicious reaction that he gets where he slaps his hands and puts that right arm down, if he'd have struck in the 5th frame there, Mr. Trout, we would be looking for a 300.
But he didn't, Mr. Durbin.
As Chamberlain leaves a 10 pin in the 9th frame. Steedy gives a little victory sign to her husband as he looked back over his shoulder there.
Mike Durbin, a believer that if the iceberg wasn't in the water, the Titanic would not have sunk.
Cross lane. Chamberlain, I know, is disappointed. It's hard to come out bowl that one match, one game, and have to win it to win your title. You bowled 42 matches, 42 games to get there. As Pete looks on, you know he's happy inside, but he doesn't show it outside right now.
Well, Pete has a brand new video cassette recorder for his birthday. He will enjoy watching this.
There was the shot he was looking for, although it leaves the 10 pin. He was looking for that execution in the 8th frame. Key shot there was the 8th frame. Chamberlain could have struck to take the lead and open to give the match to Weber. And we have the babysitter waiting in the wings over here with Nicole. Bringing Nicole on to Mommy.
Bob Chamberlain ran into a hot George Pappas last week in Buffalo and lost to the eventual champion. This week he ran into a birthday boy, Pete Weber. This will be it for Bob. And with the pressure removed, he strikes out for a total of 197. And just to tell you how different that is from the week Bob Chamberlain has had, that is 18 pins different than his weekly average. And look at what Pete Weber leaves.
6-7, for the first time he missed the right lane, but he really didn't care. He was just trying to stay behind the foul line, keep the ball on the lane. At the 6-7. And misses it. Finished with 230 even.
And the crowd in celebration of his birthday sings happy birthday to Pete Weber. It is a happy moment again for Dee Dee Weber, Nicole Weber, and Pete. And I'm sure for Dick Weber watching in St. Louis, getting ready for the PBA Seniors Championship next week. And how wonderful it would be if the Webers could win consecutive titles in consecutive weeks in two very different categories on the PBA Tour.
Certainly is possible, Alan.
Weber 230, Bob Chamberlain 197. And in just a moment, Pete Weber will receive a check for $18,000 and blow out the candles on the PBA Summer Tour. We'll wrap this up in just a moment as our coverage continues on USA Sports. Al Troutwig along with Mike Durbin and our Molson Challenge champion Pete Weber. Pete, 2 open frames in the game before the championship, then an open. He had some emotional ups and downs.
Oh yeah, I did. The 2 shots that I opened in the first game, I just threw bad. The 1 open I had in the last game, it really didn't feel like I threw a bad shot. I really felt like I threw it good.
Now, Pete, I'm not in the business of embarrassing the announcers that I work with, but this is going to be a very different circumstance. Mike Durbin, after your 4 straight strikes in the championship, sits back and says, we could have a perfect game here, 300. And, of course, you left that 5th frame wide open, and then you came back and strung a bunch of strikes together. What were your thoughts when that happened?
Oh, I was upset in a way. I didn't let it bother me, and I just went on with the game and tried to throw the best shots I could.
Now, Mike, of course, I'm kidding. Just tell me, I mean, did you think he was cruising that well?
Well, to me, Pete hadn't missed the right lane in 2 games, and I figured if he could get a couple more strikes on that left lane the way he was going, that he had an excellent chance. What did you think, Pete?
Oh, I thought I had a good chance, but those are the breaks.
You'll take the win instead, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, Pete, you are a 2-time champion in recent weeks. You won in Austin, Texas. Now you've won here in Windsor, Ontario. Do you wish the tour would continue just a little bit longer?
Oh, yeah, I do. I wish we had a couple more weeks left. I'm bowling well, and I'd like just to keep going. Now I got 7 weeks to relax, take off, practice here and there, bowl some regionals, and do some stuff at home that I haven't got to do yet.
Well, we will be presenting your presents now. Greg McNamara from the Molson Brewery is here. Greg, why don't you come in and make the presentation of the trophy?
Thanks very much.
Welcome.
Peter, happy birthday. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of Molson Brewing Ontario Limited, here's a very handsome custom design award emblematic of your occasion here this evening.
That will fit in my living room.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The joke there is, Pete, the trophy you got in Austin, Texas was about 3 feet by 4 feet. Now, Dave Rose is also here. This is the City of Roses, Windsor, Ontario. Dave, come on in. It is a slight coincidence that Dave Rose is also the proprietor here at Rose Bowl Lanes. David?
Well, Peter, first of all, congratulations. Every year when Pete comes in, he usually drops into the dining room and sees us before we get started, and always shake hands and say hello. This is the first year I get to shake hands twice.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rose. Thank you very much.
And your winner's check, Pete, enjoy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rose. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dave.
I've always liked coming here to Windsor. The previous years, I finished 7th and 7th, so this year was a little bit better. But I'm looking forward to coming back again next year.
Pete, by the way, I'll give you a pretty good exchange rate on that $18,000.
Will you? Okay.
So, talk to me a little bit about the year, how you've changed. What's been the change of Pete Weber from January up and through, let's say, right now?
Well, the biggest change is the rehabilitation center I went through in St. Louis. It changed my life 180 degrees, and it's all for the better, and I'm amazed at what can happen when you can be sober.
Now, you folks may not know this, but the same thing that Pete went through, Bob Chamberlain also went through, so this was a very special night for the both of them. Mike, we saw an awful lot of Dee Dee and Nicole sitting on the sidelines, cheering, nervous.
You're getting in this position, it seems like, every other week now. When you get here, do you expect your husband to win now?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to be here every week.
Pete, what's the future hold? Right now, you're over 80,000, or right at 80,000 now. You think you have a chance for 100,000 this year?
Yeah, I think I have a real good chance at it, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go out and bowl the best I can and hopefully win a couple more titles.
Your dad's got, what, 26 titles? Is that what Dick?
27.
27? Are you aiming at that?
Right, Mike.
Yeah, I'm aiming at that. That's about 10 years in the future, though. But he's going to go next week and win that seniors tournament again.
I'm sure he will. You going down to watch him?
No, I got a tournament at home to bowl in, so I'll be going home.
Well, I'll be down to watch him win then, okay?
All right.
Of course, next week, the seniors of the PBA Tour will move to Canton, Ohio. We've had some great stories there, Mike. 2 years ago, it was Larry Miller telling his doctor to forget it, that he was going to bowl, and he came up a champion. And last week, the great Dick Weber winding up in the winner's circle again. We have the situation, Pete, where I hinted at it just a moment ago before we went away to a break, that it would be really nice if you were to win the title this week and your dad was able to defend his championship in Canton, Ohio. What has he been doing to get ready?
He's been bowling a couple regionals here and there, and he's been practicing at the bowling alley, getting prepared. I wish he'd just practice maybe a little bit more than what he does. So he's got a good chance, but I think if he practiced a little more, he'd have a better chance.
Is that some fatherly advice there? Yeah.
That's some son advice.
Now, Dee Dee, as an outsider looking in on the Weber family, what is it like being in this bowling crazy family?
It's nice.
Oh, there you have it. It's quite simple. It's nice. What was the best thing that your father ever did for you to bring you to where you are tonight?
Oh, boy.
Answer that one.
Probably just trying to keep my temper in control of myself. That's the main thing that he usually hinted at in my bowling, is trying to keep your temper down, and my temper has definitely gone down.
Now 7 weeks off, back to Pete Weber now. 7 weeks, what will you be doing? How much bowling, how much fun, how much recreation?
Bowling about 2 days a week and golfing probably every day.
All right, Mike, we look ahead to the PBA Seniors Classic. We've got some great bowlers there. Any final thoughts on that?
I'd just like to congratulate Pete again. It was a tremendous exhibition. When he gets on a television show right now, the way he's throwing the ball, he's an intimidating force, much like Marshall Holman, and he's a force to be reckoned with in the future. I see many more championships for him.
Nicole, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's the Weber story. $18,000 for Pete Weber. For Mike Durbin, I'm Al Troutwig. We'll see you next week in Canton, Ohio. Good night, everybody, and thanks to everybody here. The $125,000 Molson Bowling Challenge on USA has been brought to you in part by the Stroh Brewery Company, family-owned quality for over 200 years. And by Levi's Action Slacks and Action Jeans.